I generally don't recommend a two-stroke dirt bike if you're a beginner for reasons that make it harder to ride. For one, two-strokes have a generally snappier and less controllable power band, but in this case I wanted to show you 3 dirt bikes that are better for beginners if you absolutely have to have a two-stroke, and they're also cheap. So the first one is the Kawasaki KDX100. It's not made anymore, but it was made for many years, from the 80s all the way to 2007, I believe, and it is a off-road slash enduro bike. It has a 200cc liquid-cooled engine, at least the later years do, and the reason why it's more beginner friendly is because the engine is tuned for more low-end and mid-range power. This makes it easier to use the clutch because you don't have to slip it as much, and the power curve is smoother, making it more controllable, easier to handle if you're still getting used to the clutch and throttle control. And it's cheaper because it's made with less technology than modern dirt bikes. You can find them for anywhere from $1,500 to $3,000 depending on your local market and the age and the condition of the bike. And they're super reliable. You can get hundreds of hours on the top end if you're just a casual rider and properly maintaining it. Now the next cheap used bike for beginners is a YZ125, and normally I never recommend a motocross bike for beginners, but this is one exception for this list. If you're a true beginner, I really don't recommend a motocross bike, but if you're a beginner to motocross, then the YZ125 is a great choice because it's lightweight, it's easy to handle, the power is a little bit smoother and better than most 125s, and they're generally the cheapest you can find used. So a good one that's cheap, affordable, and still reliable is a late 90s to early 2000s. They have the steel frame, the engine is super solid, they make good power, the suspension is great, and you can get them for anywhere from $1,000 to $2,000 generally. And then the third one is the Kawasaki KX100. They don't make that model specifically anymore, but it's basically an oversized 85cc two-stroke motocross bike. And again, I don't normally recommend MX bikes, but this one, it has a lower seat height, the suspension is softer than a full-size bike, and it makes smoother engine than a typical 85, so it has a little more low-end to mid-range power, making it a little bit easier to control. And the lower seat height is nice if you're a shorter rider or you're a female, and a lot of people, they set them up for off-road trail riding, so you put a different pipe on them, maybe a heavier flywheel weight, and get the jetting tuned properly. They can have decent power for off-road riding. Now, they're not always the easiest to find. They're not as common as like the YZ125, but you can still find them for reasonably priced, generally under $2,000. So which one of these two-stroke dirt bikes that are cheap and good for beginners sounds best for you? Let me know in the comments below. This is Kelly Fager from Motocross Hideout. Learn more, ride more, so that you can stay safe and have fun for many years to come.